Hello students, this is Dr. D and today we are going to talk about the miscellaneous endocrine glands. So the first one that we are talking about is the thymus gland. Now the thymus gland is a bilobed gland which is superior to the heart in the mediastinum. Alright, so it's absolutely large in children and is divided into lobules, albeit septa. So once again it has the cortex and the medulla. Now, what is so interesting is that it produces the hormone thymosin. That's what I'm interested in. Now, you've come across thymosin in chapter 1, that's blood. And thymosin, remember, is important because it stimulates the maturation of T lymphocytes. All right, and it helps to protect against autoimmunity. In other words, autoimmune disorders. All right. So thymosin is, if thymosin is not available, will maturation of T cells take place in the thymus? And the answer is no. Now, if you look at the thymus histology, and we'll cover this again in the lab, is you will come across these structures called Hassel corpuscles in the medulla. This is how you recognize the thymus. All right. So let's look at the next organ, that's the pineal gland. The pineal gland are small oval glands on the posterior side of the midbrain. Okay, and it is composed of pineal cells, of course. And what does it secrete? This is what I'm interested in, melatonin, which is derived from the hormone serotonin. So what does it do? It controls the circadian rhythm. All right, so here, this is the one that is controlled by the patterns of light and dark. So the nerve impulses, they enter from the eye and they travel to, of course, the pineal gland and causes a decrease or an increase in the melatonin production depending upon there's light or no light. Now here, this controls, what does it say? It controls the circadian clock, the day and night pattern. All right, so let's see this. Here we see that noon. So here what we have is melatonin secretion starts here when it gets darker, when there's less light, and then you start falling, you have the deepest sleep, lowest body temperature. You're seeing all this, right? Not that I'll be asking you this, but just as long as you know that the melatonin controls the day and night, the sleep and wake pattern. Melatonin is big time messed up when you are traveling overseas. You know, when the countries are have different time zones. Especially I get jet lagged when I'm traveling from Nepal to the US. All right, let's look at some hormones, the other hormones produced by organs. Now, all of them are important and you need to know them. So adipose tissue produces leptin. This is in response to to fat or increased nutrient intake. You've taken a lot of a big fatty meal, fried food. Now remember, immediately what happens is the brain will suppress appetite. So if you have eaten a lot of fatty food, you will notice you'll not get hungry for a long time. Stomach produces two hormones, many hormones, but two that we are interested in. Gastrin is also secreted in response to food and stimulates the production of HCl, hydrochloric acid. Ghrelin is antagonistic to leptin, opposite to leptin. And this is secreted in response to fasting. So it'll stimulate what? Hunger. So when you have a stomach upset, you don't get hungry. The reason is there's low ghrelin. Duodenum produces many hormones, but one of them or two of them that we are talking about is secretin. It's secreted in response to food, and it acts on the pancreas and stimulates the release of what? Bicarbonates. Duodenum also produces cholecystokinin, secreted in response to food, and stimulates the release of what? Enzymes. So as soon as food is entering the duodenum, you want the pancreas to release what? Bicarbonates, and you want the pancreas to release the what? Enzymes. All right, into the duodenum. Yeah. Heart Heart produces the hormone ANP, atrial natriuretic peptide, and this is secreted in response to the stretching of the atria or the atrium. All right. Why? Because of high blood pressure. So if there's too much of stretching, remember immediately this hormone is produced and it'll affect what? The kidneys. The target is the kidney, which will inhibit renin production. Where did you hear the word renin? Enzyme production. Of course, we talked about this in the RAS pathway, yes? So if renin is low, then remember, eventually it will cause less production of what? Aldosterone, right? And it inhibits aldosterone production. What does aldosterone do? Retain sodium and remove potassium. So now no longer sodium is retained. Sodium is released by the body. Water follows. Blood volume drops. Blood pressure drops. Kidney produces erythropoietin. Where did you come across the word erythropoietin? This hormone, of course, in relationship to RBC production. Remember? So secreted in response to what? Hypoxia. Hypoxia means less oxygen in the tissues. So the red bone marrow is the target organ, and more the blood stem cells are stimulated to produce what? RBC. Skin produces the hormone cholecalciferol, and this is in response to what? Parathyroid hormone. So what does it do? It will stimulate it will act on the kidneys and stimulate the active absorption of calcium. So I think with this we come to an end of our presentation. I thank you for listening to me. If there are questions or concerns, please come and see me. Thank you. Have a good day.